So 24-year-old player Damar Hamlin collapsed on primetime television at an NFL game, sparking a lot of prayers, conversation, and support. We'll talk about the theories around that and say an extra prayer for the guy. After we talk about the main story that the House Republicans can't get enough votes for Kevin McCarthy to be the Speaker of the House, and they're delaying it day after day. Is this strategic? Is it silly? I'll read a lot of your comments to get some other perspective. But first, here's a quick funny clip from House member Byron Donalds when asked if he was worried about how this would affect his future.
Are you worried about retribution after the fact? There was threats that folks that weren't going to vote for McCarthy would be kicked off committees. Now you've put yourself in a pretty public position opposing the person that could be the Speaker. Are you worried about retribution?
Man, I'm 6'2", 275. I'm not worried about that.
Hope you enjoy the show today. It starts now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you for joining. Thanks for your patience. I was hanging out with my family for 2 weeks for the holiday season, and I took a break to spend time with family. Then I got sick for like a week or so, so I just kind of was out of commission. So thank you, guys. I know 2 weeks seems like 2 years in internet time. I appreciate you guys returning for the new year to watch my show. So I guess over the last couple of days, I'm going to end with the NFL player collapsing story because I have some thoughts on that and some interesting stuff. I'm sure you do too. But I want to start with the House story of Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, or he was the Speaker of the House. He thinks he is again, but he doesn't have enough votes because there's Republicans like Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert. I think this guy, Byron Donalds, I don't have the full list. I believe it's like 18 to 20 Republicans who are blocking him. And it's causing quite the stir. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, stop. Dan Crenshaw says stop. Even Donald Trump says just support McCarthy. He'll do a good job. And I guess there's people in the House who've come to the conclusion that the Republican Party's not going anywhere. So they're trying to block him. And I'm not 100% sure what they're trying to get out of it, but I'm guessing some sort of negotiation like, hey, maybe we'll vote for you if you do something for us, or, you can earn our vote if you promise us you'll do something. And I hope that that's the case because I think that that's kind of smart, creating coalitions of people who don't move and then get something out of it rather than a guy who wears a Ukraine flag in his pocket like Kevin McCarthy, who's probably not going to do much. He'll sign every omnibus bill and just be a total shill. So let me know what you guys think. I'm not super opinionated about this. I want to read some of your comments just to get your view. I see the angle of if they don't get this together, the Republicans can't form coalitions soon enough. But I also see it as like they're blocking him, putting their foot down. And I think one thing I noticed in 2019 and 2020 is there's never really a good time. If you notice that Republicans are passing speech laws, you pointed out, they always tell you, like, it's not time. Like, it's not time to talk about it right now. We got to win the election. So we were, okay, sure. And then 2020, and it's like a lockdown and Operation Warp Speed, and they're printing money and they're turning into socialists. And then you're like, hey, can we not do this? And everyone just tells you, like, it's not time. It's not time now to do that, because we got to beat Joe Biden in 2020. And then after the election, you're like, is it time now? And then people are like, no, it's not time now because Trump needs to get back in office before January 20th. It's not time now because Mike Lindell said August. It's not time. It's never time. So I get the Republicans who are like, I don't care if it's time or not or what. Like, it's never time. So, here's a great time for it to be the time. It's not the time, but it is now. So hopefully they can negotiate something out of it and actually accomplish something. So I see it from both sides of like, you got to get your guy in office. And if you guys keep throwing a fit, we can't get what we need to get done. But a lot of us feel that you're not going to get anything done. So we're not convinced that Kevin McCarthy in office, not that I have any say in it, but I get where the dissidents are coming from. Someone said Dan Crenshaw. I'm going to read some of your comments. Ken said Dan Crenshaw called the 20 Republicans terrorists. I read that headline. I listened to Dan Crenshaw talk about it for a little. I really don't like Dan Crenshaw. I really don't like him. I don't like his energy. It's funny to see who's getting so upset by this. Like all the people that I want to get upset are getting upset. So I'm just a citizen. They're going to steal my tax money either way. I'm enjoying the little spectacle. I'm enjoying the fact that Kevin McCarthy thinks he's in and he's not. I'm enjoying people like Dan Crenshaw crying. So, from a selfish entertainment standpoint, I'm enjoying it. As far as where it's going, we will see. let's see what you guys are talking about in the comments. I'm going to read a lot of your comments today, folks. So make sure you guys say some stuff. I'm going to move to the second story, then we can move back to the Kevin McCarthy one. But I want to read you before we talk about Damar Hamlin. God bless the guy. You know, a lot of prayers. He collapsed live on TV. I want to read something that's less controversial or less like in the moment that kind of slid under the radar that happened the other day. So there's some guy named Uchi Nwaneri. It didn't get a lot of press for two reasons. One, he was an offensive lineman, so he wasn't that famous. Also, it didn't happen live on TV, so nobody's really talking about it. But this guy apparently collapsed dead at 38 from acute heart failure. TMZ reported it. Also, the Source magazine said, I can't read his first name, sorry. It's super African. Nwaneri, former Jacksonville Jaguars offensive lineman, dead at 38 from suspected heart attack. I mean, his first name is Uchi Chukwunulu. It's just hard for me to read. I apologize. I'm not trying to be ignorant. It's just a difficult pronunciation. Anyway, this guy died from a suspected heart attack like 2 days ago. And here's one of his tweets from September 1st, 2021. I hate to be this guy, but he had a public Twitter account. And he said, okay, so let's get these vaccine mandates and vaccine passports up and running ASAP. We see children die daily from unvaccinated selfishness, pregnant women at risk too. Protect life, mandate the vaccine, jail anyone who refuses to protect life. So this guy just a year ago was calling to jail anybody that didn't want to get the vaccine. Like, this guy is a full-blown psychopath. I hate to bring it up now because when someone passes away, it's sad. I don't care if you're left-wing or right-wing. That doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm sorry if you're calling for me to be jailed because I won't get a vaccine. It's a little bit psychotic. And now that guy's dead from some sort of heart failure. And to me, that's kind of crazy. I've seen stuff like this like 20 times now where they're yapping like that and then they're dead. And it's like, that's crazy. I'm not saying the correlation is causation, but it's like, dang, that to me, that one's a lot more like in your face than obviously the one that happened live on TV. I'm not saying it deserves the full attention, but I noticed that and I'm like, damn, it's crazy. With the guy live on TV, I was watching the game, but I kind of clicked off. Honestly, I wasn't really paying attention. And then I'm seeing all the tweets and I look back and I'm like, okay, this guy, 23 or 24 years old, collapses live on television. And he was involved in a tackle and, you know, he stood up after the tackle and then just collapsed. And right on Twitter, I felt like a lot of people were just like trying to push their angle of it without even fully thinking about the situation. And I'm only one person. I have my opinion. I believe in the First Amendment. I'm not going to stop you from saying what you want to say, but I thought it was a little, you know, just as someone who watches sports a lot, one, you don't see that pretty much never. But also when the tackle happened, I watched the tackle. It wasn't the hardest tackle I've ever seen. But at the same time, you have to understand, if you watch sports a lot, like, people could tear their ACL and be out for the injury, and it didn't even look like it. Like, it's not always the hardest looking tackle that hurts people the most. So he was involved in the tackle. It wasn't the hardest thing I've ever seen, but he could have got hit in the wrong spot. Something could have happened. I'm not really sure. This is just my personal take. I'm not going to act like I'm 100% sure when I'm not sure. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not saying you have to be to weigh in, but you know, if you're going to just sit and look at it and say, oh, that was definitely the vaccine, I'm sure you're not sure. You just know that they lied about that product. So now that's your bias telling you that happened, or you're going by the theory of like, this has never happened before. So it must be the thing that they rolled out a year and a half ago since most of the players got it. All I'm saying is, like, I'm not going to sit and make a statement and just say that and be like, I'm sure, because I'm not sure, and neither are you. So I feel like it's a little tasteless for people to just kind of like yap and be like, I'm 100% sure that that's that. I found it a little weird and off-putting. At the same time, I understand, like, a lot of people are seeing that the media doesn't want to cover that stuff. The sports leagues were forcing it super hard. And, you know, just like with the House representative, I guess there's never really like a great time to bring it up. So some people are doing it aggressively. I just think it's a little tasteless. Like, at least just speculate on it and be like, this is odd. Could it be that? Versus like acting like you're 100% sure, because you never really know. With that being said, you know, do people trust these people to say what happened? I mean, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see. I guess with stuff like this, I mean, this is not a shooting, but I would consider it a tragedy. On tragedies, whether it's like a shooting or a war or a narrative, I like to wait 72 hours and just kind of try to get all the information in, because if you try to jump on like the Ukraine war, Snake Island, yeah, that, well, you got lied to, and now you just push fake information, or like Ghost of Kiev, or I guess like everybody loves to be so sensational about a school shooter or something like that, where in the first 24 hours, 48 hours, the Greta Thunberg, oh, pizza, it was the pizza box that got him arrested. I don't even think that story was true, but all the liberals were saying that, and people who hate Andrew Tate. So it's easy to just try to jump and be first at something, and someone's got to be first, but I don't need the clicks or attention enough to look to like make a false statement. So I try to fall back and then see what happens with the medical report of this guy. I agree that I've never seen it happen before. Seems like a freak injury. It seems strange. He was involved in a hit. It's not like he wasn't involved in any hit. He just fell. He was involved in that hit. It could have been worse than it looked, but how would that trigger that? I have no idea. So I'm not going to pretend like I do. That's all. That's my only thing. I try to be accurate and fair and reasonable, and I'm not going to sit and say I'm 100% sure about something I'm not, but I do find it weird. And, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the reports say. And, I'd rather not just like make a huge statement acting confident when I'm not. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion and perspective. This is just mine. So God bless the guy. I'm not going to say it was this or that. I have no idea, but I will be interested over the next month to hear about what caused that, how his heart shut off, or why, or God bless the people who were involved in reviving him very fast. They got on that pretty quickly. And if there was something prior, did he have a prior condition that they didn't know about, or was it just like that just happened like that? I'm gonna try to listen as it comes on and make a decision, but I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but people will, and it is what it is. So with the Kevin McCarthy thing, I want to get some of your comments on that as well. Trump is telling people just get behind him. A lot of Republicans are saying we're not going to be able to form our coalitions, and we're not going to be able to form our House committees. And I don't know what they do on committees, like, oh, we're the committee, we're going to investigate. It's like, are they? I hate to be a doomer or gloomer or whatever, but like, are the Republicans really going to get together and you're going to get them this time with the, like, we're delaying the committees for 5 days. Boo-hoo. Like now, maybe they have a real strategy to go after Fauci, or maybe they don't. So I'm not personally that upset by the delay of Kevin McCarthy getting in office. I like the fact that he's being challenged, but I do get the gist of why people are upset. Julie said, I think this is all for show, to expose a lot. Someone said, I asked a question and will be asked again. Could it be steroids? I mean, I'm not familiar enough with like performance enhancing drugs like that to really weigh in. Someone said Trump is crashing and burning right now. Well, he has an opinion and people don't like his opinion. I think a lot of the base wants like Kevin to be delayed or whatever. But I think it's healthy, though. If you've watched my channel over the last couple years, you know how I feel. Probably, maybe you don't. Now I'll introduce you. But I don't like this, like, Trump can't be challenged. We got to play dumb all the time. Like, I like the fact that nobody's listening to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lauren Boebert's not listening to him. Matt Gaetz is not listening to him. The base is starting to be like, well, Trump's not doing what we want him to do. I think that's good. I like that people are starting to realize that he's not, who they want him to be. And that's fine. It's just like, we got to stop pretending like, like, let's stop playing role play. Like, oh, Trump's a secret wizard from a secret space base going to shoot the deep state. No, he's really not. So now let's cope with it. And then we can move forward and maybe find a new leader or become the change we want to see in the party. Like this whole sitting by the sidelines watching Trump game, it's been over for 2 years. So I feel like the base is starting to realize that. And that's a good thing. I'm like, yeah, we've been here. We've noticed this for a while. So thanks for joining us. Someone mentioned that he's on the World Economic Forum website. I mean, McCarthy is like a uniparty stooge for sure. Is he better than Pelosi? Sure. My sock is better than Pelosi. Here, let me take my sock off and hold it in. Here, I guarantee you, if you put my sock as the Speaker of the House, my sock would do less damage than Nancy Pelosi and probably Kevin McCarthy. You'd ask my sock, hey, are you going to, Anomaly Sock, do you want to sign the Omnibus bill for 1.9 trillion? And my sock's like, hell no, I don't want to sign that bill. I'm a sock. I don't sign nothing. just by default, my sock would be putting us in less debt than these dummies. I almost said the R word. I don't know if that's allowed now, but I'm over. It's like, oh wow, he's better than Pelosi. Like, yeah, so is my sock. Anomaly sock 2024. And the motto will be, at least it won't steal your money. At least it won't start a war. At least it won't sign the omnibus bill. I might run a campaign for my sock in 2024. We'll see. But it's like, oh, the Pelosi's going to win it. It's like, bro, we get it. Kevin McCarthy sucks. But, will he do a few things? Sure. But maybe we're tired of that. I can't speak for everybody, but I've gotten a good vibe from Matt Gaetz over the last couple of years, and I think he's not one who wants to play the game of Washington. I think he's one of the more trustworthy Republicans, and he's got his game is, I don't want to play the game, and everyone else's game is like, but I want the money. And I don't want to offend one of the only politicians who likes me, so I'm going to try to word this properly, because not even that many people like me, so why am I going to burn my bridges? But Marjorie Taylor Greene, I've met her. She said she liked me. I like her. She's kind of like on the side of McCarthy, and I'm not even knocking it. I get there's a game to be played, but I noticed that Marjorie, God bless her, she'll do this thing of like, we're going to impeach Joe Biden. And it's like, to me, that's like a big scene to just raise money, where it's like, you're going to impeach these people? Give me money, I'm going to do the bill to impeach. Are you though? Is it even possible? Or are you just saying that to then, get people to look at you, but you don't even really have the numbers to do it. So it's like, just like they can accuse these 20 dissidents as like, oh, you're just causing a show to get attention, but you can't really do anything. That's the whole Republican Party anyway. All they ever do is cause a show just to, do it to get donor money or something, and it doesn't do anything. So I'm not trying to knock it, but to me, that's just kind of like corny. Like, oh, we're going to impeach them. And no, you're not. So let's stop pretending. But if you want to pretend, that's fine. I'm not interested in it. Someone said turncoat. Maybe I'm nicer than you guys, but I don't even fault the people who are voting for McCarthy. I get they're like, oh, well, I'm going to vote for him and he's going to put me on a committee and then I can make change. I get the game they're playing too. I'm not going to call them traitors and turncoats. You can. I know that a lot of the base is upset, and I'm not in politics, so I don't really care who you like and not. But I don't even see her as a traitor, and Trump is a traitor for this. I think Trump is a traitor for other things personally, but Trump backing McCarthy, I don't even care as much as people do about him. Like, oh, this is what really broke the straw. This is what really did it for me. Trump backed McCarthy. It's like, but not the fact that he signed a multi-trillion-dollar scam bill, that he told Thomas Massey to kick dust, that he gave Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson. That didn't pique your radar of not trusting this guy, but him backing McCarthy's whatever the straw that breaks the camel's back has to be for other people. But I actually don't even care that much about this. Either way, it's like, I get both sides of it. And I'm not trying to be offensive, or it's just like, I get this idea that you want to get him in. And I get the people that don't want him in. Like they think he's a loser, because he kind of is. Let's see. Read some comments. Someone said McCarthy is a rhino. For sure. Beyond a rhino, he's just like a I mean, you can call him that, but a uniparty, start every war, sign every bill. Yeah, he's a loser. He's not one of us. And one thing I think this shows too, to any progressives or left-wing, populists that are still around, the revolution, and I'm not talking about the literal revolution, because I don't need feds coming to my door, but you know what I'm saying, metaphorically, the American Revolution and the change of guards and the people's movement is going to come through the right wing. It's not coming through the left wing. You notice how the left wing are hand in hand with Pelosi. They do nothing. You notice how Matt Gaetz has some balls, Lauren Boebert, the real populists, the real revolutionaries, the real for the people types, they're on the Republican Party now. The Democratic Party is the trash. You might as well just throw them out. I'm just trying to speak to people that are like, oh, I'm still left wing, and maybe it's all coming through the right. You're better off as an honest liberal and a progressive to vote for these people, because they're more willing. Who's more willing to stop the war in Ukraine? It's the Republican Party. Who wants to, is at least fighting, mandates and fighting against big pharma tyranny? It's the Republican Party. I'm not saying Republicans are perfect, because a lot of them are losers, but every topic that people want the politicians to fight for, you're finding all the winners in the Republican Party. So like I know Bernie progressives that are against mandates, they're against the war. It's time to wake up and realize that not like all of these things are getting done in the Republican Party. So if you're gonna even give the two-party system any sort of credence at all, which you don't have to, if you're going to, it's time to stop pretending like Bernie Sanders or a Democrat or anybody's coming to save you. They're not. Like all the real winners are coming through the right wing now. So it's time to wake up and grow up and stop pretending like, there's nothing good on the left coming anymore, in my opinion. Someone said AOC is one hot piece of blank. I feel like AOC is just like whatever, but next to Jerry Nadler, she looks like freaking, Cameron Diaz in her prime, like I'm not saying she's not a pretty girl. Obviously, like AOC's not ugly, but it's just like there's so many uggos in Washington that everyone's like, AOC's so hot. It's like, yeah, next to Jerry Nadler, she looks like freaking Princess Diana. But at a club, I wouldn't even turn to look at her. I'd be like, next. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing, but you get what I'm saying. I don't think like next to Nancy Pelosi, Jerry Nadler's like, his like fupa's like coming out of his suit. You know what I'm saying? Like she's standing next to Jerry Nadler and she's got people watching like CNN feeling all like horny and stuff, because they're like, oh my gosh, this is a 10 out of 10. It's like, yeah, next to Jerry Nadler, yeah, she's a 10. But, on a on a reality show, she's like never mind. Anyway. Someone said it's stupid. Hold on. Yeah, it's the uniparty. We should pick them off and vote them out. Yeah, I mean, I guess you just got to figure out who's who though, and vote them out, get better candidates. There is a change. Like I think they said, oh, this has never happened. Delaying the votes never happened in 100. It's like good because like what's been happening over the last 100 years? You've just been stealing my money and starting fake wars. Like, have any wars you guys started even been like good wars? Like you guys are just starting these bunk wars, but this has never happened, Matt Getz, in 150 years. Good. That means this is like a historic turning of the guards or something. Let's see. Anomaly were to shave, he would make a great body double for AOC. Are you trying to suggest if I shaved, I would look like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? That's suspect, but do you want me to shave to see if I look like her? I don't think that's how it works, but whatever. Let's see. If McCarthy wins, I'm reading a comment. Ombre O'Neill said, if McCarthy wins, Republican momentum dies before 2024. Rhinos riding MAGA wave and now want to fall in line like it was their win. You think Republicans shoot themselves in the foot with this? I mean, eventually it's like the Ukraine and Russia war. Eventually some sort of deal has to be struck. I just hope that Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert, they come to the table and say, hey, I'm okay with them voting for McCarthy, but since they've caused such a scene and been successful so far blocking it, use that leverage to come to the table to get what you want. In my opinion, I think libertarians should do this instead of role-playing president, losing by like 99% of the vote and being like, I got 30,000 votes. Like, who cares, dude? You got blown out. I think libertarians should do this too. They should accumulate 5 to 10% of the vote and then come to Republicans and say, hey, I'll drop out of the race, but you have to sign a contract with me that says you're going to eliminate taxes or, use your chunk of vote for leverage. I'm totally okay with that. So hopefully they do that and say, hey, Kevin McCarthy, we'll vote for you tomorrow, but you got to stop funneling money to Zelensky. You have to stop, being a loser. You have to not sign the omnibus bill. You have to review it. And then, make him sign it, and just say, or at least just get his word. And I think that's a good strategy. And to me, that's a winning strategy for libertarians. I know they don't want to do that, but it's like, okay, then just lose then, whatever. It makes sense to me, like, go to the Republican and say, hey, here's my libertarian platform. You got to adopt at least a couple of these. Because honestly, libertarians have, I would say, a lot of good things that could improve the Republican Party. Like it's smaller government. Republicans pretend to be smaller government. Republicans run on libertarian principles, and then when they get in office, they become socialists and Democrats. And then people are like, oh, no, Republicans aren't socialists. Yes, they are. They run as libertarians, but they govern like Democrats. So why not try to get the Republicans to be more libertarian? I think that would be a good move. And that's why I don't care that they're doing this to Kevin McCarthy, because Kevin McCarthy, Donald Trump, whoever, they run as libertarians, they run as patriots, and they end up governing like socialists. And they keep doing it, and they have no plan on stopping. This is what I've told people about Trump, and it bothered people, but I'm like, only in your head does he have this plan to stop doing what he was doing or stop getting fooled or hiring. Like, it doesn't exist. So let's confront the problem. I like that. Let's just be like, listen, you didn't get it done. I'm tired of acting like he surrounds himself by good people. It's like Sebastian Gorka. Oh, I got to watch this guy on Fox News for the next 20 years because he hung out with Trump 2 times. Like, oh wow, this guy's blowing me away. Not like, it's time. It's time for a little. It's time to make it a little uncomfortable for the Kevin McCarthys. Let's see. Someone said there's a socialist uniparty. They are socialists, and they're like international communists. It's like, we're funding gender studies in Pakistan. And here's the tough pill for Republicans to swallow. Not everyone, most people get it by now, but they did this during Trump too. Trump also funded like gender equality in Pakistan. He signed the Omnibus bill too. We're not even like socialists where it's like, oh, you're going to get health care. Like, I get why Jimmy Dore's upset. He just needs to figure out what's going on, but it's fine. It's like, we should be able to get that. It's like, yeah, I mean, technically, yes, I actually agree with the progressive socialists, not that government healthcare would be good. But if you have enough money to give $100 million to Volodymyr Zelensky so BlackRock could steal his country, then you don't have money to give me? If I was black, shit, I'd be like, excuse my language, I would be like, I want reparations. You're giving, you're giving these people reparations and money and stuff. I want money too. It's like, I'm not for that stuff, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, well, you do have the money. It's not like they're like, we're being fiscally concerned. We don't have the money to spend because we're trying to get the debt up. They're not doing that. They're just wasting money. Big Pharma gets money. Zelensky gets, everybody gets money except for us. So I want reparations for lockdowns. I want $1 trillion now. I'm going to be like the character from, don't care how I want it now. Whatever. Like, it's this whole country is a joke. So might as well get some bucks. Let's see. Someone said Pakistani gender money is funneled to American LGBT organizations. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what? How do you spend money for gender study in Pakistan? Like, what does that even mean? This country's so stupid. It's like, it's annoying. I love America, but like, we're like such a scam. We're spending $1.7 trillion. Like, the amount of crazy stuff in that bill, someone's probably happy. Like, some rich guy that looks like Jerry Nadler is probably sitting in a room and he's like, I just wrote a 6,000-page bill and nobody's going to read it. Like, what can't you do? I mean, why not put a page in there that says, like, give money to, like, Kazakhstani clowns, but then your cousin owns the Kazakhstani clown, business, and you get the kickbacks. Like, I mean, nobody even read that bill. Like, somebody's happy as shit just being like, 5,000 pages of money we're just stealing from people. And here's my question too. Why do only Republicans care? What happened to Democrats? I'm not somebody who just sits here and says, oh, Democrats suck, like liberal chicks suck, give me my, like, yeah, they're losing their mind, but like, why? Didn't Democrats used to not like lobbyists? Wasn't that like a good thing they used to do? Like, we got to get the money out of politics. What, like, how come only Republicans care and libertarians care? Like, where are the normal, not completely brain dead Democrats that are like, hey, they just printed money? Like, only Republicans and libertarians seem to care about the omnibus bills. Like, what do Democrats even care about anymore? It's like a TMZ show where they just like run around like hoping Trump gets arrested or something. Like Rob Reiner's just sitting there eating cheesy poofs, like waiting for like Don Lemon to be like, breaking news, we got his tax returns. And it's like, wow, you spent guys, they printed tens of trillions of dollars. Operation Warp Speed locked you in your house. And your big thing is you're spending 6 years trying to get Donald Trump's tax returns. And then you get his tax returns and you're like, oh, well, it didn't even show anything, but I still think he's guilty. It's like your time management is like stupid. It's like if you ran a business And you're like, let's spend 5 years just like clapping our hands with our face against the wall. It's like, let's not. There's 1,000 things we could be doing that are more beneficial. Like I just don't even understand how to deprogram somebody that only wants Donald Trump's tax returns. Like whether you like Donald Trump or not, look at the omnibus bill, dummy. Oh, well, Trump's tax guys. It's so stupid. It's like it's just like so childish. Like, are these people really this dumb? Someone said Democrats want communists to take. Yeah, but I get what the media is doing. I get what the Democratic Party is doing. But like, what are the Rob Reiners doing? Like, what are they? I'm not even talking. I guess he's kind of involved in the system, but like, what are these people watching this news? Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my camera, but like, what are the average voters doing? Like, when are they going to snap out of it? Can we like run a new candidate that like snaps them out of it or something? Like Trump, that like we'll talk about Trump like historically, like they need to get over him. It's like they want Trump to run again because it gives them purpose. Like if Trump was as cool as he was in 2016, I'd be like, who cares what they think? But he's not even cool anymore. And it's like I feel like he would help them more than he'd even help us. It's just like because they're watching this fake movie where Donald Trump is like, you know, a supervillain and they just can't get over it. It's like at a certain point they got to move on. Like are people still talking about Richard Nixon? Like imagine if they just hated Richard Nixon. It's like 20 years later, like Richard Nixon. It's like, bro, Nixon's been out of office, dude. Get over it. Like, but the Watergate. It's like, dude, it's 1995. Like, move on. Move on. Like, get a new candidate. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but it's all good. Someone said, where's Ye? I don't know. Hopefully doing an interview with me this month. That would be great. That would be a great way to blacklist myself from everything that I'm not already blacklisted from, just to make sure I'm actually blacklisted. Because I complain about being blacklisted, but I'm not like as blacklisted as I could be. But if I get a Ye interview, I will be. Let me see. What's my take on Peter Zehan? I don't even know who that is. Should I look it up? I don't know. He sounds like a Zoltar, that guy that you give your, you give your money to. It's like, Zoltar, tell me my future. Peter Zehan is a geopolitical strategist. Yeah, I don't know much about that guy, but Zoltar, I never give my money to Zoltar because, I don't know, he don't really say much. Someone said, sorry, still voting Trump. He's a businessman, not a politician. That's fine. I mean, I'm not gonna badger you for who you want to vote for. Like, we'll see what happens. Someone said, "Did I see the Washington Commanders' new mascot?" Yeah, I did. It's like a war pig, right? It's like a general dressed as a pig. I want to know the geniuses that that came up with that one, but it's so stupid. The Commanders and it's just so cringe. Someone said, Anomaly, you blocked me on Twitter because I've said your music videos were politically correct. I still can't believe you did that. I highly doubt I blocked you for that reason. You were probably just annoying me or something. I don't know, but believe it. I can't believe you did that. Well, if I did it, it's time to believe it because it's real. You got blocked. Get over it. Someone said I like Ron DeSantis. I hear you. Let's see. Americans, it's time for a real change, says Paul. Paul says it's time for a real change to dissolve both Democrat and Republican parties, and Americans need to vote term limits on all politicians. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the solution, but I hear you. Definitely the two-party system's not working. Someone said the World Economic Forum just recognized the guy taking their money as the Speaker of the House. I know, I saw it. They have him on the website already as Speaker of the House. What's the next rapper collab going to be? I'm not sure. Solo songs coming up. I was going to record one over Christmas, but I felt under the weather. I got the maybe the Cobalt 19, as they call it. That's what I'm calling it, just because it's funnier. Don't Mess with Zohan was Adam Sandler's worst movie. Yeah, I never saw that. Well, Adam Sandler made his money. He's like, he just had to make like cheesy family movies. Everybody goes through that phase. They just stack up bread and they're like, whatever. I've already made some classics. Someone said a perfect scenario is 100 Jim Jordans running the government. I like Jim Jordan more than Kevin McCarthy, but I don't I don't even like Jim Jordan. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old and I'm turning into a hater, but like to me, Jim Jordan just talks all the time. He reminds me of like, have you ever seen like that guy? He's like a comedian and he has a puppet. You know what I'm saying? The puppet's head goes like, and like the head, like that's Jim Jordan. He's always just talking. I'm like, okay, well, Jim Jordan can talk good, but he also takes money from Google, which is weird. I don't even trust Jim Jordan, but I think he's better than Kevin McCarthy. I guess I'm just not easily impressed. I'm like a hipster hater. Um, Let me see. You're a Rand Paul guy? No. I mean, I like Rand Paul better than most people. I like Thomas Massey. Um, those are ones that I like better. I think they're more they have more conviction. You can't buy conviction and you can't make someone like if you believe in something. I think there's a lot of people in politics that just believe whatever the cool kids at the table say because they don't want to lose their spot. But every now and then you get some people that have actual conviction. They're like, no, taxes are wrong, or like omnibus bills are stupid. But Paul Gosar's good. Yeah, I like him too. He's always followed me on Twitter, so I've had a bias. I was like, if he follows me on Twitter, he must have good taste. What can I say? Someone said I like retired Ron Paul. I found an old video I had where I gave Ron Paul a shout out like 10 years ago. So even before I was like right leaning or something, I still knew Ron Paul was authentic. I could just feel it. Like I was like, oh, he's the guy that they don't want because he's not like the one that they chose. I had that intuition even when I was like 22. Someone said, I think people are just sick of the weak GOP. Honestly, I think that's the most accurate take yet. I mean, a lot of people had good takes, but I think that's the most simple version of what's going on. People are tired of the weak GOP. They should be tired of the weak GOP. And one thing that I don't like about the GOP is the fact that they don't even look like they're going to change. Like, for example, what they did in 2020 with the lockdowns, with the money printing, with Operation Warp Speed, people say, well, just because they didn't mandate it, that's good. It's not good. It's socialism. If Pfizer came out with a product that was so good that I wanted to inject it in my arm 15 times, then whatever. But if Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and Moderna are doing government subsidized socialist vaccine schemes under an emergency declared by a pharmacy lobbyist who Trump put in office, that's not capitalism. And it's actually not good. Just because the GOP didn't mandate the vaccine doesn't mean they're not corrupt scum. They're still corrupt scum. Operation Warp Speed was evil. And I'm not acting like it wasn't. With that being said, they don't even think it was a bad thing. So why should I sit around and be like, how are they going to learn their lesson if they don't even think they ever did anything bad? They put Tim Scott on TV, and Tim Scott was like, we did a bipartisan CARES Act. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, he just crushed Pelosi. I'm like, he's bragging about the most socialist bill in modern history. The CARES Act was a scam. And that's who the Republicans are. So it's like, I don't baby Trump or McCarthy. None of these people deserve to be babied. And they don't even think they did bad stuff because they don't care. What people don't realize is they're playing a different game. We have to just acknowledge the fact that certain people do certain things and we're not them. For example, I've told this story before. I'm not going to name names because I'm not that type of person. But I don't take donor money, and I'm not one of those people who just like goes around to network to see who can give me money. I make all my own money, and I don't really give a shit what anybody else thinks. That's just the type of person I am. I could probably make more money if I played the game. I'm not interested in the game. But the point I'm getting to is I realize that some of my influencer friends, they're not playing the same game I'm playing. They're playing the game of getting the donor money. Like they want money from people. The reason I'm telling you this is because if you don't play that game, you don't realize that other people are. So you're just assuming everybody would think like you, but they're not. Same thing with politics. Like Trump is mad at DeSantis because DeSantis took his donor money. You know, they're mad at the dissidents because they have a agenda that they want to roll out and they don't want to stop taking the donor money. Kevin McCarthy doesn't want to stop working with lobbyists. He doesn't want to stop selling our country out. So at a certain point, you have to do something because even some of your favorite people in politics, they're not playing the game you think they're playing. You think they really care about you and the country, but they care about donor money and lobbyists. And without those donors, they don't think they could run for office. So that's the game they're playing. They're trying to please their donors. They're trying to please their lobbyists. But you think that they're not doing that. You're like, oh, I like that person's personality, so they're not. I'm telling you, even influencers do that. Now influencers are the new politicians. They're running around trying to suck up donor money. They're running around trying to suck up to the corporations and the lobbyists. The influencers, I'm telling you, are doing the same thing. Not all of them. You can probably tell, but a lot of people think, well, I like that person and what they say, But that's what they do. They're car salesmen. I could be a good car salesman, right? Hey, but really I'm just trying to sell the car. That's what a lot of politicians, they sound good because they're good salesmen. What makes a good politician? Being a good skis ball or being a good speaker, really. I mean, authenticity works, but also just selling people on the idea that you're just like them, being able to stand in a meeting with lobbyists and say, hey, I will take $1 million from Pfizer. Sure, I'll do a deal with Bill Gates. And then walking out to the public and saying, Arkansas, I'm just like you, Arkansas. Oh, yeah, country music and, what I'm saying, and pork fried, like, BBQ pork with the barbecue on the side. That's what makes a great politician, being able to tell the South that they're just like you, but then also working with the lobbyists and being like that type of person. So sorry about the camera. That's who most of them are. And that's who a lot of influencers are becoming. So it doesn't mean you have to hate people, but just acknowledge that they're not playing the game that we're playing. So we have to confront that, because the only thing we don't have the donor money, but we have influence, and they hate getting booed. Like Kevin McCarthy, he thinks he won before he even won. It's like, what? How dare you interrupt with my agenda? It's like, sorry, bro, that's all we have. We don't have the ability. So once you start booing these people, once they start losing once they realize that you're not a lock, your vote's not a lock, your worst support is not. But if we don't win, Pelosi wins. Yeah, I agree that that's devastating. But like, at what point do we not even really care that much? Because you're like, just like Pelosi, kind of like you're not even that much better. And you got, so I see both sides of it, but definitely, like I've been saying for a year, the political solution is to let these people know that you're catching on to their little scam. And once you catch on is the second that it falls apart. So, whether anything comes from this or not, I think it's the start of people catching up to the grift. We've come way too far. We've learned way too much. We've educated ourselves way too much. We've had social media for 8 years to connect. We're way too smart and we're way too strong to wait around 15 years to see if Donald Trump does something or Kevin McCarthy. Like, no, I don't care if it's Trump or DeSantis. Like, we're not waiting for a fake savior. It's not happening. It's not coming. And we've put in way too much work, and we've accumulated way too much power. And we're not a stupid movement. We're not a sold out movement. So it's time that we show that instead of clapping for these people. Like I told people to boo Ted Cruz, and he's one of the better ones. But in my world, it's like these people get booed enough. They're like, oh, shoot, these people know that we're kind of like half in, half out. Yeah. And you need our vote. So we are as powerful as the lobbyists, not with money, but with, we're your base. We're the reason you're going to get a Fox News contract after you get out of office. We're the ones who are going to watch you. I mean, not me per se, but, like this is the base who's going to put you on the map. And, if you stand up to certain people, it's like they might run to CNN, like Adam Kinzinger or whatever, and you're like, oh, they weren't even ever one of us anyway. They're going to run and be the next Anderson Cooper or something, like Adam Kinzinger probably will, or Liz Cheney. But everybody knows they're fake. This is not like a revelation. Like everybody, those are like the obvious ones. Sorry. Thank you, Serena. I didn't mean to hit that on the screen, but I do appreciate you. Sometimes when I hit it, like my screen freezes, so. While I'm reading comments, I want to let you guys know I'm going to invest a couple $1,000s in a new microphone. I don't think this one's terrible, but the quality has been annoying me recently. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to buy a good microphone, like $1,000 microphone for music recording. And then I'll buy a different one for podcasting. So I'm going to reinvest in myself, just like my camera got better over the last couple months. And, hopefully make the show better in multiple ways. Is the live stream normally around this time? I'm random with it, and I apologize, but maybe one day I'll do a time show where you actually know where it's coming. But I would say they're not. I just flew on an airplane from Nashville, Tennessee to where I'm at, so I would say no. I'm not usually doing it this time. Let's see. Sounds like to me, Sonny Livingston said, sounds like to me that Boebert is asking for term limits and a more secure border, and McCarthy says no to that. Did I misunderstand what I'm saying? Yeah, see, that's what I'm not. I don't think you're misreading it. I guess it's just whose word you believe. But I think that's a great thing. It's like we had. Let's just remember, and I'm not pointing the finger at just Trump or whatever, but like when it comes to the Republican Party, we had 2 years where they had pretty much all power. They did nothing. They lost to the Democrat narrative. whatever. Then we have 2 more years. They did nothing. So we had 4 years in office and they didn't even really do border security. And they're just sending money to Ukraine and every foreign country under the sun. So they have a right, Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and all these people, to say to Kevin McCarthy, we won't vote for you until you actually fund border security, and stop pretending like you don't have the money. They sent $100 billion to Ukraine, and now Ukraine's going to be rebuilt by BlackRock. I explained what I thought of it in my last live stream. You have this president who gets in this war. You could say that Putin started it, but really the tension has been rising for 10 years now. And then conveniently, BlackRock is going to come through and own the whole country via building and loans or whatever they're going to do. So it's like they got the money to do that, but you can't put $10 billion towards border security. I'm totally fine with Lauren Boebert taking a stand. In fact, I met her. She was nice. I'm glad that she's doing that. I don't know what they're going to get out of it or what, but I like how they're making people feel. Republican, it's not the time. It's always a bad time because you losers are selling us out all the time. There's never a good time. I remember in 2019, wait till 2020. Anomaly, wait till November. Anomaly, wait till January. Anomaly, wait till August. Mike Lindell has a cyber symposium that's going to last 92 hours and he's going to sell 10,000 pills. Whatever, dude. What do you want me to wait? It's like a game. Like, wait till 2059. Trump's going to come back in 2059. The Jolly Green Giant's going to morph into Baron Trump and he's going to Nikola Tesla. It's like, okay, we get it. We want to wait. I don't think Republicans are doing anything. So I think it's like, if it's not a good time, it's a good time. It's always wait for, Kevin McCarthy's got a huge plan. Maybe he will have a plan now because he got pressured a little bit. Like a little bit of tension is good for these people. I don't believe he has any plan, but maybe this was the time. It's like the carrot on the string. It's this time. Is it though? It's been 40 years of nothing, but this is the time. But Trump's going to do it. Oh, but Trump's going to do it this time. And Kevin McCarthy's going to, I don't believe it, and a lot of people get mad that I don't believe it, but I don't. And I'm not going to pretend like I do. You can believe it. You can believe that he's a businessman and he's going to do it this time. I don't think so. So I'm enjoying Dan Crenshaw crying. What's his name? Huckabee, Mike Huckabee's like crying too. And I'm like, listen, trying to be respectful, not trying to fight with everybody all the time, trying to turn a new leaf for the new year. But it's like Mike Huckabee's daughter, Sarah Huckabee, was running around the South being like, howdy, y'all, get the Trump vaccine, y'all. And thank God people don't listen to her, because if they would have got the South to comply to the vaccine, they could have implemented national mandates. The only reason the vaccine mandates aren't working is because people aren't getting it. So, Sarah, like, instead of crying about McCarthy, it's like, dude, we're tired of Mike and Sarah Huckabees who are running around selling Trump vaccines. We don't like you that much, okay? We're tired of your little grift. We get it. You feel comfortable on Fox News. Your family feels comfortable running around the South selling vaccines. Yeah, you feel so good. You're sucking up all this corporate news money. Oh, yeah, you don't want your little feathers to be ruffled. Who cares, bro? We're tired of you people. So Sebastian Gorka can act like a condescending prick on Fox News for 5 years and get the contracts. Yeah, wow, cool. Wow, cool story. Yeah, I'm sure you're so comfortable. God forbid, somebody delays a Ukrainian national liar for a couple of weeks. It's like, these people don't want to feel uncomfortable because they're making a bunch of money. I mean, I understand, but it's like, at the same time, I don't care about like, wow, oh no, your lobbyists are mad at you. And a lot of these people are playing the game. They don't want the game. They don't want the game to stop because they're benefiting off the game. Let me see. Someone said everyone arrested in 2 weeks. I think you're probably joking because that's probably not going to happen, but people really do think it. Someone said Red Shield Bank equals Rothschild Bank. Well, isn't Rothschild not their real name? Wasn't Rothschild? Doesn't it mean red sign or something? I think that's the origin of their name from something I watched, but I don't know. Jennifer said, I totally agree that his ego has eaten up his better judgment and is still holding vipers close, finding himself poisoned through ego. There's a lot. I mean, I don't know who you're talking about, if you're talking about Huckabee or Trump or whoever, but it's like, he's not going to save us and it's fine. It's just like people got to stop waiting because his plan is not impressive. And he's playing a different game than he was, and he's gotten way more political, and he makes bad decisions. And I don't think he's the type of person to realize that his decisions are bad. He's more interested in loyalty towards himself instead of actually hiring people who are going to be outsiders. So it's time to like move on, or at least like challenge these people at bare minimum. $10 super chat said, glad you're back. Hold on, I'm going to read that. Missed you. Just read One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb. She's a modern day Cooper. She's done several interviews. Check her out, dude. I'm familiar with her. I know she's an independent journalist who does a lot of like brave stuff, you know, challenging the system, the war. I'll check it out. But yeah, I'm familiar with her. I know she's one of the few like brave, bold journalists who question foreign wars, like, and America. So I know who she is. Someone said 2 weeks to eternity. Yeah. Someone said Rockefeller and the Schwabs own the medical industry. You better believe it. Oh, sorry. Did you see the story about Canada ordering Jordan Peterson to go to a gulag? No, I heard the psychologists were complaining about him. Sorry, I wanted to read the other comment, but I clicked that by mistake. But I did not see that. I did see he was complaining. With the Rockefellers and the medical industry, I mean, all that's very interesting, like going down that rabbit hole. I do believe at some point the Rockefeller, what is it, Institute, or they somehow just kind of like rewrote medical industry in America. And yeah, I've gone down that rabbit hole before, and it's like, damn. It's like BlackRock and Vanguard too. If you look at everything they own percentages in almost every company. It's like you have one or two companies own almost every company. You have you know, one foundation or institute rewrote basic, like, in order, and I might be wrong about this, so don't quote me on it, but with the Rockefeller stuff, like as far as like if you want to be a doctor, you want to be a nurse, you know, you need to go to school. It's not like they're just going to let you be your own nurse. You got to go to their school. Well, who's writing the books? Who controls the agenda? And I'm not saying it's all bad. There's a lot of good surgeries being had, but I mean, it seems like there's somewhat of a monopoly on medical thought, and the Democrats tend to more basically punish doctors who do not completely follow the script. You know, it's very suspect. What do I think about McCarthy as this and the speaker vote? Well, that's what this stream was about. Me personally, I don't care either way. I'm not gonna say I don't care, but I get both sides of the argument. I get the don't delay this, but I like the feathers being ruffled. I like that. So that's how I see it. It might not be strategic. It might not be tactical. It might not be the time. But as a citizen watching without really political pull like that, I'm enjoying. I think all the right people are feeling uncomfortable. All the wrong people are trying to gain leverage, and you know, hopefully they strike a deal with McCarthy and he actually does something. So, and hopefully this starts a new Republican movement of, we need to make these people feel uncomfortable. We need to strike more deals. We need to challenge them, because this idea that they have a strategy, they're getting lobbied, they're getting paid off, they're getting big donors. Like, they just are. Even the best ones, like maybe not the best of the best, but you know, people are like, oh, he'd never take money. He took money too. It's like, we just don't want to believe it. So I think it's good personally what's happening, but I'm not going to say it for sure is. I have no idea how it'll turn out. Someone said we need real accountability. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because it's a numbers game. It's like, what do you do when nobody cares about anything anymore? Part of this is like a psychological, I would say, like, experiment being put out in real time. It's like, what happens when half the country is like Rob Reiner and they only care about Donald Trump's tax returns, or however 10% of the country, whatever they are? What happens when the craziest thing in the world happens? They show corruption at Twitter, that the federal government and agencies are like lobbying a corporation to like cut out a political opposition. Like, that's a big story 5 years ago, but people are so overstimulated with information that no one even cares anymore. So, you know, it's like we're reaching these new times that are deeper than even like Trump or Biden. We're reaching overstimulation of information. In some ways it's a good thing, in some ways it's not. Back in the day, if you controlled the radio stations, I bet they could put out fake stories all the time. I bet they lied to everybody even easier back then. Some people are like, oh, it used to be better. In some ways, I bet it was better, but in other ways, it's like, you put the moon landing on the television, everybody believes it. I'm not saying it's not real. It's just, I don't think it is. But in general, it's like maybe it was, but it's like, here's the story. You saw it. Here's what it is. And there is no cell phone. So believe it or not. Now you have all this competing information. The good thing is, like, you can educate yourself. You can take courses. You could sell stuff on Etsy. You could make $1 million on Amazon. You can learn the truth about certain things. You could find 20 people that disagree with me and compare. Like, it's a beautiful thing that we're able to research and learn, and people are getting smarter because of it. The flip side is people are also becoming more brainwashed in some ways, because if you're caught in your echo chamber and you're just consuming a lot of just your information, it almost becomes harder to flip now because you're so sure of yourself because you've heard the same thing by 50,000 different accounts in your Twitter feed and your algorithm. And now it's just like people don't care about stories that don't feed into their bias. Like, the biggest thing in the world could happen, but 100 million people don't even care because it doesn't have an angle that, like, gets to them. And what gets to a lot of people, like, what are effective narratives? Like, the George Floyd thing was really effective. I'm not saying why, or I'm not trying to make a statement on that per se, like, oh, that they plan that to be effective. I'm just saying, like, a cop killing that, or a cop kneeling on his neck when he's on fentanyl, and he's laying on the, however you want to see it, like, that narrative made a huge impact, but, like, someone could gun down 1,000 people and no one even cares if there's no, like, racial angle to it. So it's like, I'm not saying that makes it right. It's just like, that made people want to, like, burn down their neighborhood. Like, it, like, inspired them like demons or something, like possess them. And they're like, I'm really mad now. Like, they're not mad when we start wars and kill millions of people. They're not mad when they get scammed into poverty. They're not mad when they get locked in their houses like prisoners. They're not mad at this. They're not mad at getting scammed. They're not mad at this. But that makes them so mad that they're gonna cause. And you're not playing a fair game where, when left wingers and criminals and just random angry, angsty people go and, like, burn down neighborhoods, they get rewarded for that. I mean, we would be lying to ourselves, whether the FBI or local police or Democrats or whoever. You'd be lying to yourself if you say they got rewarded for burning down neighborhoods. They got millions of dollars through Act Blue to progressive causes. The NBA and the NFL started adapting their social justice. When they burn down the country, they get rewarded for being criminals and terrorists. When people on the right wing do it, I would say January 6th, although it had a more political angle, which makes it, I'm just trying to be as accurate as I can be and, like, unbiased. What makes it slightly worse would be the political angle messing up, like, a political thing. But really, if you look at the crime, the death, the destruction, it was not nearly as bad as the Black Lives Matter riots. But this is the game they play. When left wingers get extremely violent, they get their way, they get their causes put in mainstream thing. When right wingers do 1/10 of that, they get persecuted for 2 years. So you're not like, left wingers can do that. And I'm not saying either side should, but left wingers can be violent and be criminals and do that and that's, like, revolutionary. They're like, oh, that's okay that you burn down stuff because of racism. But then when right wingers try to do that, it's like, oh, that is the worst thing ever. You guys are terrorists and we're going to destroy your life and use this to shut you up. So we're not playing in an equal playing field. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong on either side. I'm just saying, like, it's not fair. It's for sure not fair. And, it doesn't work. It doesn't work throwing a fit. It works throwing a fit when you're left wing. You throw a fit, you do a bunch of messed up stuff, and they reward you. You throw a fit when you're right wing, and they ruin your life for the next 20 years. So, I don't know what the point of even talking about it was, but just strategically, it's like that you can't do what they do. And there's got to be a way to create a narrative that actually works and, have some sort of actual change that actually works. What that is, I don't know. But when it comes to this sort of, like, oh, it's not the time, dude, Kevin McCarthy sucks. In my opinion, Donald Trump failed. His administration were a bunch of clowns. He ended up being a vaccine salesman. Like, I don't care that these people, like, what are you doing? You didn't do anything when you're in office. So I'm okay with making them feel uncomfortable because, they're not doing anything. So we don't, how do we make a change? I don't know. But maybe this is a start. And I think the base of Republicans are really strong. Once they start asking more questions and pushing back a little more, like, against their politicians and the McCarthys, I think to me, that's the political solution, is let these people know that you're not impressed by them. Like they're even if you vote for him, even if you vote for him, stop clapping for Ted Cruz like he's Paul McCartney. He doesn't deserve it. Let these people know you guys are losers. I know you're fake. I know you're losers. I know you're half-baked dummies, but I'll vote for you because you're slightly better. At least let them know that. Don't like people. They think they're rock stars. They are rock stars. It's like, at least if you're going to vote for them, let them know that you're losers. You're a loser. You're a vaccine salesman. You sold our country out to Bill Gates, but you're better than Biden, whatever. But I'm not going to cheer for you anymore. I'm not going to act like you're the greatest thing. You're really not. You're just the lesser of two evils. Like, at least that type of energy in the Republican Party. And then these people will realize, like, oh, snap, these people are onto us. Like, they don't like, but you go to a TPUSA event, you think you're in the presence of freaking Elvis Presley. You know what I'm saying? Like some disheveled, disgusting Republican gets in office and people are clapping for him like Elvis shook his hips for the first time. It's like, I'm not saying this because I'm jealous. I don't need any more attention. I'm just saying strategically, politically, this makes no sense to be this obsessed with these scammy Republicans. So I think Matt Gaetz is, this is the beginning of people not playing along. So I'm enjoying it. But what do I know? Someone said the guy who ran over people at a Wisconsin parade. Yeah, and it barely crossed the threshold of like I would say media. And this is not what I have a solution to, so I'm not just trying to complain, but like, how do you shift narrative? So when they're so powerful, I think one way to shift the narrative is to stop playing into their narrative. And this is what I'm pretty sure about. I'm not that sure about a lot of stuff, but Republicans don't seem like they have that much. And I'm not trying to speak as everybody, because some people do, but on a whole, they don't seem like they have any sort of creative angle. They're always just waiting for the Democrats to pin them down and then play the victim. Even when Trump, I mean, it's easier said than done in hindsight, but when Trump won, the Democrats controlled him through the Russia collusion narrative. They have all this power, yet they're spending 2 years defending themselves from a narrative that was hatched by the Democratic Party. That's why I like, and I'm not saying DeSantis is perfect, but he doesn't sit around. I think even if you think DeSantis is scammy, you can learn something from his approach. He doesn't sit and wallow in his own self-pity for 5 months crying about what the media says. He just keeps doing stuff and being like, address it, move on, address it, move on, address it, move on. By the time they're mad at Don't Say Gay, he's already on to his 17th thing and they're not even talking about it anymore. That's the solution, not to sit and cry about what Democrats are talking about. So for sure, what Republicans could do better is create your own narrative. Don't live in the past of the 2016 Donald Trump shadow. Don't just run circles around people with no vision. Create your own narrative. And this way, when Democrats say something to you, just like laugh at it as if it's not even a thing. Like you're not dragging me into your fake world so you can act like I'm 20 steps above you to the point where it's laughable that you're even trying to drag me into that world. Like I'm not hanging out and apologizing for something that Democrats made up from 3 years ago. So if Republicans can create their own narrative and make it something that's interesting and powerful and that brings over independents and even liberals, like it's not that hard to get people on the fence if you have conviction and passion and you're a good person. Like you can't just repeat old stale talking points that don't appeal to people forever. And that's what a lot of Republicans do, is they sit and let the Democrats frame them and then they defend themselves. But you got to understand that that's good money for a lot of people too, because if the Democrats say something and the Republicans respond, it's like a whole, sorry about the blurring. It's like a whole like reaction video. I'll get paid off of like, debunking this, where it's like, it's good for some people to sit in that world because it's like like a viral moment. And I get it. Everybody wants to make money and get clicks. I'm just saying like defending yourself against their narrative is getting so stale with no vision. Chaos Studios $50 super chat said it's good versus evil, simplifies the issue. Also, Brooks' mom, appreciate the super chat. I'm trying to take it off the screen. Sorry, my computer freezes sometimes. Let me see. Someone said no building back better. Hopefully not, because it's not going to be better. I'll read a few more and then I'm going to get off. Someone said, learn who controls the divide. Talking about them, this Republican demo stuff means nothing. Well, I hear you, but I would also say this, and this is, I don't know who you are and I can't speak on it, because I don't know what type of stuff you do or who you watch. But I want to say this too is like, everybody kind of has their own strategy to get the message across, and sometimes people who harp on certain narratives, they often like repel people away from their narrative. So, it's like, am I someone who just talks about Democrats and Republicans all the time and acts like it really matters? I'm not. So you could pretend like I am, but it's like sometimes there's certain stories in a certain way to talk about the story that gets in, where I find sometimes that people that act like they're above it and they talk about certain narratives all the time, nobody's listening because they haven't created a narrative or an interesting angle that makes people in, where it's just like, a small group of people just kind of like taking their ball and going home. I'm not trying to say I don't know that, but it's like, I think I'm pretty effective in what I do, but it's up to interpretation for sure. It's not like I sit here every day and I'm like, Democrats versus Republicans, pick a side. And it's like, it's not really what we do here. But let me see. Alma said, uh-oh, you could learn so much about timely bills signed by President Donald Trump. The trap set over and over. You aren't seeing the actual. You miss millions of facts. Are you one of these people that got brainwashed by X-22 report? So you think like Donald Trump set traps for them? I bet they don't talk about the 2019 universal flu executive order or the fact that he passed speech laws or signed $1 trillion bills. Are you like, oh, you don't know? It's good. Just trust the plan. He set traps. I mean, they're gonna destroy tomorrow. The pedophile. It's like, I'm sorry, someone brainwashed you. Someone said Happy New Year, by the way. Thank you, Marmar. Happy New Year. Is there any politician he likes besides DeSantis? I never hear. Well, I like Thomas Massey. Honestly, I like Matt Gaetz for what he's doing. I appreciate Lauren Boebert for what she's doing. All the people dissenting saying stuff. Chip Roy seems like he's somewhat of a winner. I mean, I'm not trying to act like I'm such a tough guy, like, oh, I hate everybody. It's just they all sell us out. When every single person passes hate speech legislation and there's only one dissenting vote and his name is Thomas Massey, I hate to be like, he's the only one I really like, but it's like, how can the entire House pass hate speech legislation and there's only one name saying no? So unfortunately, the numbers are not stacked in our favor in Congress. And I try to give people tough love where it's like, yeah, that's lame, and when you give them tough love, sometimes they change, sometimes they don't, but there's a lot of sellouts in there. Someone said Operation Trust was one of the most successful 1920 Soviet communist plot. It's funny because I actually have that book here. My microphone's been leaning on it, but it's called New Lies for the Olds. I haven't read the whole book, but I bought it when I heard about Operation Trust. And it's true, during the communist, I mean, I would have to reread what part of the communist takeover, but in Russia, they had something called Operation Trust, which was almost identical to the QAnon thing. I'm not saying QAnon's Operation Trust and nobody ever got inspired to do anything good. I'm just saying literally that exact narrative was fed to people in communist Russia. Operation Trust, for those who don't know, they had a communist takeover, and to keep people docile and just waiting for a savior, they told people that there was a plan happening, that retired generals were going to save the country, and just like, wait, patriots, the generals or the white hats are taking. That same narrative happened, and it made people completely frozen, so they never opposed the communists. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, I'm not saying Trump's the worst person in the world, but playing this game that he set a bunch of traps for the Democrats, guys, he failed. Get over it. The country got locked down on his watch. He printed trillions of dollars on his watch. He signed every omnibus bill. He took Bill Gates' 2018 plan and put it through executive order. He passed speech laws. He pardoned an Israeli spy and a Democrat criminal on his way out. And now Biden runs the country. There is no secret Trump put a trap for Biden. Like, he failed. We failed. This is not what we wanted. It's okay. We didn't want the economy to collapse. We didn't want Democrats to make it worse. But in order to fix it, you have to acknowledge that it even exists in the first place. If you guys are sitting fantasizing about Operation Trust and how there's secret military generals that are going to save us and Trump set all these traps, you're hurting the movement because you've become the Operation Trust people, where it's like, back in the communist days, it's like, yo, the communists are taking over. It's like, no, no, no. There's secret generals that are fighting from the inside, and they never were. So it doesn't mean that there's not good people in the military. It doesn't mean that there's not good people in the government. It just means that Donald Trump is not Iron Man, and any influencer telling you he is not your friend. But if you want to believe that fake narrative for the next 20 years and drive yourself into mental illness, that's on you. But it's like, I was talking to Eddie Bravo. I kind of feel bad because I kind of feel like I was sort of a jerk. God bless Eddie. Thank you for having me on. But he goes and was telling me about X-22, how he told people, it's like a 5-minute thing, like Trump secretly worked, past the big pharma thing to open the country. And I'm like, do you realize how insane it is? And I don't care because I'm not like shaming people because of theories, but it's like Donald Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist at the head of HHS. Donald Trump signed Operation Warp Speed and gave Big Pharma $20 billion. Big Pharma is not our best friend. Do you realize how crazy it is? And instead of being like Donald Trump took $1 million from Pfizer, which he did, like, oh no, he put pharmacy lobbyists in charge of everything and gave Big Pharma money to fight Big Pharma. Like it's the stupidest thing ever. It's like they want Republicans that are that stupid, because you could literally do communism and sell them out, and you're like, oh, he did that to open the country. It's like, were you going to stay locked down for 7 years? There's a lot more evidence that says that he rushed it, because now Big Pharma has liability shields. And now when everybody's getting the shot, they don't have to pay for side effects and injuries. Like the rushing the product to the market wasn't good to stop the lockdown. Like, it doesn't even make sense, but that's how, like, people they don't want to face reality. It's like a weak mentality. So you have to like make up this whole fake theory. Why not just go further and say, like, George Bush secretly saved our country with the Patriot Act, and we're going to find out in 30 years, and he started the wars in Iraq to, he had to kill bin Laden and Saddam Hussein because Saddam Hussein wasn't who you think he was. Only I understand because I read message boards. Like, you can make this case for any president that fell short and just be like, oh, they had secret traps that are going to be exposed in 3. It's like, dude, it's going nowhere. It's Operation Trust. But someone said Biden failed. For sure, but the thing is, Biden's not on your team. Biden isn't the party you vote for. He succeeded in what he's supposed to do for his agenda. That's not our team. If our team is doing the same things as Joe Biden, it's a little bit more important, because when we win office, we lose. So when the other side wins, they do what the other side does. But when our side wins, we do what he does too. That's a bigger problem. That's why I call out our side more, is because Biden's doing what Joe Biden's supposed to do for the establishment. But when our guy does establishment stuff and sells us out, and then you got a bunch of fake controlled op, probably like agency influencers telling people just to wait all the time, like distorting reality to the point where these people are like the Rob Reiners of the right. They can't even know up from down, because nothing means anything anymore. Down equals up equals down, left equals right. When he empowers a bunch of big pharma lobbyists, he did it to fight big pharma. Like, the evidence is there. He sold us out to big pharma. He did everything that Bill Gates wanted. He put a pharmacy lobbyist at the head of HHS. If your new theory is he put pharmacy lobbyists at the head of the government and rushed vaccines and sold them and used socialism to push them out to secretly do something, like, I consider you as, if not more mentally ill than Rob Reiner. Like, you're like a right-wing version of like someone who's mind has gotten so scrambled that they're not even like useful in any sort of tangible way. But if it makes you feel good, it's fine, I guess. But you're not doing me any favors. Someone said Trump's coming back tomorrow. Trust the plan. Med beds are coming. Yeah, I don't know. Someone said, if you think the political right's going to save you, well, we've come so far. This isn't even like a doomer thing of like, oh, there are some winners in there, but it's like, it's going to take us saying no to these people. Like, if they walk in the room and you pass out like it's Paul McCarthy, and you're just like, oh my God, thank you so much for taking $1 million from Pfizer. Thank you so much for printing trillions of dollars. Thank you so much for like, they're like, wow, these people really don't care. Like, that's not going to work. Someone said Joe is an egghead, Trump 2023. Okay. Can he do anything without Republican support? You're going to get those with or without his approval. I don't I don't understand what you're saying. Um Is that your method of like, when Trump becomes a communist and a socialist and a sellout, like who cares? Because it would have got done anyway. Then what's the point of even liking someone? Um, I don't want to be a broken record, but when Republicans have as much energy to actually stand up for what's right as they do to make excuses for what's wrong, that's when this party changes. But you got a bunch of weak people that are like, I mean, could he really have done anything? Like, yeah, that's the whole point of being president. You have executive power. He had the power to pass speech laws into office, and he used his executive power to take Bill Gates's plan and pass it into legislation. If Trump is such an outsider, why did he take Bill Gates's universal flu vaccine executive order and pass it into legislation? Because he's not your guy. Get over it. But you can't get over it, so you just fall on your head every day like Charlie Brown, making excuses for it. It's like if your thing is that he couldn't do anything, then why not vote for Jeb Bush? You're getting Jeb Bush with a bigger mouth, but that's okay with you because like what can he do anything? Then stop voting. If you don't think the president can do anything, of course they can do something. Not everything, but it's like he made 50 bad decisions, but that's fine because like, they wanted him to or something. It's like, yeah, no, there were a bunch of things that could have been done, but they weren't. But if you want to spend time making excuses for them, why would this party get better? This is where I become a bigger dick and I say, I don't think Republicans could deserve freedom. If that's your narrative that it's okay to do socialism, communism, and vaccine scams because it's status quo, you don't deserve anything. Your country deserves to get conquered. The border deserves to be open. The Republicans deserve to be the Democrats, and both parties should do socialism. And you need to suck it up and eat it and stop complaining about it because you're not strong enough or resistant enough to make a difference. So, that's how I kind of feel. It's like, why, like, stop even paying attention to political stuff. If you're that weak and pathetic, just suck up your country getting destroyed because you deserve it. You don't deserve anything. If that's your strategy, it's like, yeah, I mean, who cares? Like, okay, then watch it crumble. Like stop acting like it's going to change because there's a lot of people like you there that just think it's fine. It's like, okay, I'm not saying you have to get upset and like kick yourself in the face over what's going on. At a certain point, some things are going to happen either way, but it's like, what's the point of even having a movement if your movement's that weak? Like that there is no movement. Let's just watch football and get fat then. Like at least that's more fun than to fake be patriots and just like watch a bunch of scams happen and be like, well, as I'd rather make excuses for those scams than actually stand up to this. Well, that's why they happen. When there's so many people making excuses for them, that's why they happen. I don't get the strategy there of like, and that's why Trump is so annoying because he has this cult-like following. If Mitt Romney deceives people, he's a deceiver. When Mitch McConnell deceives people, he's a deceiver. When Jeb Bush falls short, Jeb Bush sucks. When McCarthy falls short, McCarthy sucks. But when Donald Trump does what they're all doing, he's this special person that everybody's got a goo goo gaga baby boy for because he's just big baby man, just dumb. Big baby man hire bad people. Big baby man can't do anything. I mean, big baby. It's like, it's so annoying. He's got like the biggest crybaby. It's like everybody else is accountable for their actions and failures, except for big orange baby vaccine boy who works for Bill Gates. He's just dumb boy who just surrounds himself by Sebastian Gorkas and Jared Kushner. And he just dummy boy. We want dummy boy back in office because he too dummy boy to do anything. He too dummy boy to, but that's who I like to make excuse. It's like, it's the most annoying thing ever. Like, I'd rather get in someone who people don't like, so there's no more excuses. Like, what, Big dummy boy, too dumb to hire good people. That's why I want him back. He too dumb. He too dumb to do anything. He hire himself by people. He hires Swamp because he dumb. I want the dumb guy back because he's just too dumb to hire good people. It's not his fault. As a leader, it's not his fault that he surrounds himself by garbage people and he's going to do it again. That's why I want the dummy boy, the foolish boy who just get fooled all the time. I want the foolish guy because he's so foolish. I mean, that's a good leader, right? Somebody that just doesn't know who to hire and surround himself by, so he fails everything. That's good, right? That's like, are people this stupid? It's like, that's the theory that's been running for 2.5 years. it's funny because we have the last laugh here. We've been saying this for years, and now everybody's catching on, and you see a lot of the influencers saying what we've been saying for years. It's like it's just it doesn't even it's just like stupid. Someone said you're becoming a Muppet. Why? You're just mad that it's like I'm not pathetic. Someone said people can't believe we were conned. I mean, it's crazy. It's like entertaining. This has been going on for years when I'm like asking like the best theory that people can come up with, like literally the number one most responded thing to me over the last 3 years was like saying that he was like too dumb to know what's going on or too foolish. And it's like when he was running and crushing, there was no, oh, Trump's too dumb to stop the war in Syria. He's too stupid to stop it. He's just, he's too dumb to get along with Kim Jong un. That didn't exist in MAGA world for 3 years because Trump wasn't an idiot or a dummy or a liar. Trump was just doing things. So nobody was making excuses for things like that because they didn't have to. So people forget now because Trump's been so trash for so long that during the first 3 years, you didn't have to be like, oh, well, Trump, funded ISIS and is starting a war with North Korea because he's too stupid. That didn't exist. It was like, oh, Trump did the right thing. Trump did the right thing. People liked him because he was doing the right thing. Then he started doing the wrong thing all the time. And now his audience is like, Trump a dummy boy. I mean, anomaly. Did you ever think that he's just too foolish? He's too stupid and foolish to do that. So he's not a good leader then. It's like now the movement is like a sad sack of excuses for like why he's either the most foolish or naive person on the planet. Like, okay, like maybe Don Lemon's really naive too. Maybe Don Lemon's secretly a good person. He just does bad work because he's naive and foolish. He just gets fooled all the time. It's not Don Lemon. I mean, it's just he's getting fooled. He's a good guy doing the wrong thing because he's just getting fooled all the time. Anomaly's a great guy. I mean, he stands up to Big Pharma, except he took $1 million from Pfizer and then sold vaccines for 3 years. But Anomaly's he's just fooled. Well, then I'm too stupid for you to even watch. Don't watch a fool. Don't follow a fool. If you follow a fool, you're a fool. If you follow someone weak, you're weak. It's like it went from like this tough movement of like he's getting everything right to like, I guess that's what I want. It's like I definitely hope that DeSantis and other people run and give him a run for his money. And you see a lot of these Trump influencers freaking out because they know he probably can't beat DeSantis because Trump is pathetic and lame now. It's like if Trump was 2017 Trump, it doesn't matter if like George Washington runs. Trump is beating him. Like Trump is beating everybody because he's better. Now Trump sucks, so he can't compete with anybody. So he's just got to like kick everyone out of his way so he could sell vaccines for Bill Gates. And the narrative of some of these, they're like, look at these old videos of DeSantis selling the vaccine. That's why you should trust Trump. And it's like, it doesn't even make sense. DeSantis sold the vaccine 3 times, and that's fine to hold him accountable, and that's fine to call him out. But DeSantis also flipped, and now he's doing the right thing, and Trump's still doing the wrong thing. So I'm not saying you can't bring that up or point it out. You should. But on that topic, Trump is provably 30 times worse. So anything bad or fake or dishonest that DeSantis did, Trump has done it times 30 times. Pointing that out doesn't make me want to vote for Trump anymore. And it's like, if I'm a purist, then I'm going to try to find somebody like Thomas Massie or something that never did that one time. But as far as competitive wise, it's like, well, at least he hired Joseph Ladapo. At least he has a grand jury investigation. At least he turned around. At least he only did it 3 times instead of 300 times. Like it's like the Trump movement's gotten so fake and weird that like no one even likes it anymore. Everybody I follow on Twitter that's like, look at these old videos of DeSantis selling the vaccine. That's why, like, call him out. That's fine. But like, that's why I should like Trump because DeSantis did that. So now I should vote for Trump. Like Trump is provably worse on that topic, and it's not even close. But they don't. It's like this delusional movement now. It's like delusion. It's like it's losing steam because it's fake. There's power in the truth. There's power in righteousness. I would prefer Matt Gaetz over Trump. I would say like half the movement's better than Trump. Like there's a lot of people that deserve more respect or at least leadership positions than that guy. But whatever, if people want to run that back, that's on them. I'm not certainly interested. Let's see. Go on Daily Wire. I want to see you talk to Michael Knowles. I'm sure they hate me at Daily Wire. I mean, not everybody, but I don't know. If he wants to have me on, that's fine. But I talk about Ben so much, they probably don't want me there. Someone said I admitted to myself that Trump only fooled me once. Well, the theme of this live stream, considering the topic of it as well, is that it's okay to give resistance to these Republicans. Like, Kevin McCarthy, Trump, they need a challenge. They do not need our blind worship. They do not need our loyalty. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think that Trump deserves my loyalty. I think he was not a loyal president. I think he did a terrible job in 2020. He ran around the country selling vaccines. He's not worthy of my blind loyalty. He's worthy of my journalism. He's worthy of my questions and my scrutiny. Like if you're going to be super, super loyal to someone, pick somebody good. With these people, whether it's McCarthy or Trump or McConnell or any of them, I don't think they really deserve it. And people can make the point of like, well, Ron DeSantis still locked down. And it's like, yeah, I would even go as far as to say he doesn't deserve it too. I mean, to some people, he's done a lot, but I'm fine with taking a hardline stance of like, I don't trust him either because he did this, this, and this. Good. You know what I'm saying? Make him speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Make him explain why he locked down. Make him promise he'd never do it again. Make him explain why he got fooled by the efficacy and for how long, and get it out of him, and then see if you believe his answer. Does he sound authentic? Does he sound believable, or does he sound like he's reading a script? I'm fine with that. I'm not sitting here trying to gatekeep him or anything. It's just I think he's better than Trump at this moment. But if you want to take a hardline stance and be like, well, he locked down Florida for a month, so I don't trust him or believe him. If the base had that much conviction and that much strength, we would get stuff done where a politician would even feel uncomfortable for locking down for a few weeks. Now they feel comfortable signing every omnibus bill starting. They feel so comfortable scamming us all the time. And they scam us so hard, and the McConnells and the McCarthy scam us so much that when Trump scams us, it's like people elevate him because he didn't scam us as much. It's like, I'm fine with taking a hardline stance, letting these people know, I don't care if you're McConnell, McCarthy, DeSantis, Trump, like we are not a pathetic movement anymore. So if you do really messed up stuff or you make huge mistakes, we're not necessarily going to throw your political career in the river and say you can't ever win again, but you need to be questioned and held accountable for what you did, whether it's Trump or DeSantis or McCarthy. It's not that we want to end their political career, but we want them to do the right thing, and they're never going to if people don't hold their ground. So that's kind of my strategy. It's like, I'm not saying you can't do this or you can't get a vote, but you got to earn my vote. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you didn't earn my vote, and I don't want to vote for you, and I don't trust you, and I don't think you did the right thing. And I think I have a lot of information on your relationship with Bill Gates that a lot of conservative influencers don't want to look at, because if they look into it, they're going to find that it's true, and it's inconvenient truth. So, that's my whole thing with all of these people. It's like you can earn my vote. If I interview Tulsi Gabbard, we can get along. She's a nice lady, but I'm gonna ask the tough questions. I want to know who you are. You are the head of the DNC chair. You are on the World Economic Forum website. You're on the Council of Foreign Relations. That doesn't mean I hate you. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but I want to see how you respond to these questions, because as a voter, I want to know, are you the real deal? Did you have a change of heart? Did you wake up? Or is this just like a political, play? And that doesn't mean I hate Tulsi. I like Tulsi Gabbard more than most people like Tulsi. A lot of people think I like her too much, but I just, that's just what I want to know before everybody talks well, right? Oh, I think that they all sound like Fox, analysts, yeah, cool. But do you mean it? And sometimes when you ask people questions and push back, you could tell if they mean it or if they don't mean it. For some people, it's just like a statement they read so they can get the lobbyist money. Yeah, I'll build the wall. Okay, here, Koch brothers, give me the money. It's that's the energy that I have for Trump, for DeSantis, for any of these people. It's like I'm okay with taking a hardline stance. And once they realize we care, they think that we're stupid. And they might be right. But it's like they think that we don't realize what they're doing, because a lot of people still don't. They throw it back like a baton, and they never do what they say they're going to do, but they always tell you if they get the baton back, they're going to do it. Trump didn't really do that much. He got a few things done. He deserves praise for that, but he really wasn't who people wanted him to be, and he left the country in probably the crappiest state it's been in 30 years. Does that mean it's all his fault? No, the COVID and it's not all his fault, but he didn't really stop it. And he was way too gung ho to promote 90% of the nonsense. So let's stop acting like he's some huge success story. He's a fail. He failed. And it's like Tom Brady losing the game by 50 points and then saying that was the greatest performance ever. Like Trump failed. Whether like a real man, a real leader would say, I failed. I lost the game. Give me another chance and I'll win again. Like you can't just sit there and act like you're not failing. So that's what they do. And they think we're stupid, whether it's McCarthy or Trump or just whoever. It's like we are that stupid in some ways where people are like, oh, maybe if he gets the baton back, they're never going to do it, guys, until people know what the game is. We're so close. Someone said Anomaly is a traitor. It's funny because people will say that because of my stance on him. Donald Trump took $1 million from Pfizer. I've taken $0 from Pfizer. Donald Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist executive at the head of Human Health Services. I would never do that. Donald Trump hired Mike Pence's sneaky Surgeon General. DeSantis hired Joseph Lombardo, a frontline doctor who fights corruption. Donald Trump greenlighted the lockdowns. Donald Trump gave $20 billion to Big Pharma. Donald Trump took Bill Gates' executive order and passed it through legislation. And Donald Trump ran around for 2 years telling people how great the vaccine was. So if that's your idea of not a traitor, then enjoy that. But to me, that sounds like traitorous activity. But God forbid I noticed that he did it and I'm not a total suck up like most of these guys because they want to go to Mar-a-Lago. That's on you. I'm not a traitor. I love my country. Calling out corruption is not a traitorous activity just because you don't want to acknowledge it. But that's why Republicans go nowhere, because they con people with a personality. I'm George Bush. I'm just like you. I'm Southern. I'm Donald Trump. I'm rich, but I'm just like you. Oh, but it's going to be different next time. I have the same energy as Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert here, where it's like, it's always going to happen tomorrow. It's always going to happen in 2 years. It's always going to happen when Trump. It's not going to happen. And that's not a doom and gloom activity. It's just like, be a man, be a patriot, stop getting fooled by the personalities of the car salesman that they put in front of you for 8 years. Like, it's, the future of this country is in your hands. Will you recognize the game of how they just pass it back and forth between left and right? Or are you going to fall for every character that comes along? Well, George Bush seems like a Southerner. Well, Barack Obama is a black guy who's an outsider. Well, Donald Trump is a billionaire. Well, it's like, come on. You going to play this for 50 more years? Or, even if you love Donald Trump, can you not challenge the guy? You're impressed with how 2020 ended? And the weird part is that he created his own narrative to make him the victim. So I think the whole thing is kind of a psyop where it's like, what happened in 2020, Patriots? And people will be like, the election was taken from you. But they forget the fact that even with both parties scammed us. Donald Trump was in on the scam. The big story of 2020 was the lockdown and the vaccine corruption. It was not just the election. I'm not saying that the election didn't happen, but Donald Trump's brainwashed a lot of his biggest patriots into thinking that the only thing that happened in 2020 was the election, not the fact that whether the election happened or not, both parties were scamming us and Donald Trump was in on it. He successfully brainwashed people to forget that he was in on some of the worst betrayals in modern history, and he was totally okay with them. At certain points, he fought him a little bit, but not enough. So, it's like Tom Brady losing the game by 60 points and him being like, that was my best performance ever. I mean, no, the reason he won't lose the next game is because he acknowledges that he lost that one. If you can't even acknowledge it, it's like people are playing make-believe. And it's like the algorithm, everybody gets around people who just agree with them. And then nobody knows anything anymore because they're stuck in these echo chambers of people who just feed them what they want. And they've completely removed what the Republicans did to us in 2020 out of their head like it never happened. It's like it did happen, but no one even remembers it because Trump's narrative doesn't include that. He's got people trapped in his narrative, and his narrative is not even really helping that much. Someone said Delta 9 over Delta 8. I don't even know what that means, but someone said we need age and term limits. I don't even think that'll help that much because some of the young people are just as bad as the old one. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I think it'll help a little, but people paying attention will help more than even term limits. Just even with these people, there's certain people that don't have conviction. They just do what the money tells them to do and what the popularity tells them to do. So we don't have the money. We don't have the lobby. We make them popular. So if we take away their popularity, they will, even some of these losers, they'll do the right thing just because they have to. That's like free market. It's like if people don't buy it, they don't sell it. You know what I'm saying? Food has gotten, although it's gotten way worse in this country, you're also seeing a lot of fake healthy options, but more healthy options over the last 10, 15 years, even though a lot of things have gotten worse. Why? Because people want it. People are buying the kombucha. I'm not saying it's like the healthiest thing in the world, but they're buying the kombucha over the Coke. So now there's a lot more kombucha than there used to be, but they're still buying Coke. But we control our own destiny. We're not these powerless like lab rats that they think we are. It's like if we don't buy what they're selling, they can't sell it. So I think even more than term limits is people paying attention. Republicans getting tougher. We got to challenge McCarthy. We got to challenge McConnell. We have to challenge Trump. We have to challenge DeSantis. We have to. We can't just sit back and act like these people are celebrities. It's actually just as bad as what the left is doing. I mean, they got creepier celebrities or stuff, but we're treating Republicans like they're massive celebrities. And if you look at a lot of their track record, they just don't deserve it. It's not like, I mean, I'll cheer for Ted Cruz when he abolishes the income tax or something. He says he wants it. If he can do that, I'll cheer for Ted Cruz. But like Ted Cruz supported vaccination segregation on airplanes during crunch time for humanity. He was on the side of the devil. He was trying to take away my rights as somebody who didn't get the mRNA shot. He's a far cry from a successful politician. He's better than Pelosi, but we got to stop celebritizing, if that's even a word, these people. Like you go to these events and you would think that like who's coming out? The freaking governor of and like this guy sucks, and people are like, oh my gosh, they have no incentive to stop. Someone said term limits and good choices. I think term limits will help, but not as much as people think. I don't know though. I mean, maybe you're there for 20 years and you just keep getting more corrupt and taking more money, and not having that would free it up a little bit. Maybe. Someone said, is Anomaly a Democratic shill sent to split the Republican Party? Is Matt Gaetz a Democrat shill? Is Lauren Boebert a Democrat shill? Is this the new narrative that we're going to go with? I mean, you could think or say what I want. It's like, was I mad at Donald Trump when he challenged Republicans? Like, this is such uniparty nonsense. Like when Donald Trump was challenging Republicans, I loved it. I was like, oh, this guy's coming through and pushing the Republican Party. That's what we need. It wasn't like, oh, Donald Trump was sent to, how dare him challenge? It's like, do you want to be led by Mitch McConnell? Is that what you want? Mitch McConnell, and anybody who challenges Mitch McConnell must be a Democrat sent to divide the party. The party's going nowhere. So, but I'm not even mad at this guy, but this is why they're going nowhere. I don't believe, I'm in some ways unpopular where people are like, we deserve freedom. We deserve liberty. You deserve freedom and liberty if you want it. Like, if you're willing to stand up for yourself and stand up, then you deserve it. But no, we don't deserve anything in this country. If the Republican Party's this weak, we don't deserve anything. If they're okay, I'm not trying to exaggerate or harp on the past forever, but you got to understand, in 2020, even in 2019, they signed that stupid omnibus bill. But in 2020, the Republican Party went full-blown communist, guys. I mean, they went further than some socialist regimes have ever gone. They're full-blown socialists. They printed more money than Barack Obama. They did big pharma socialism scams. This was not free market. It was a government corrupt socialist communist pharma scam. You're okay with that? You don't have a problem with? Then you're pathetic, in my opinion. You deserve nothing. So if me pushing back against that is too much, this is why I don't even care anymore. 2019, 2018, nothing that bad's happening, whatever. But it's like, it's not. And then I see the Republican Party go full-blown Karl Marx, and nobody wants to talk about, what a pathetic movement then. It's like, get some balls. If what they did to us in the last year of Trump's presidency wasn't enough to put off an alarm in your head and at least stand up for yourself, then you deserve nothing. You deserve Joe Biden. You deserve a failed Republican Party. You deserve Mitch McConnell. Like, do you want things to go in the right direction? Then you push them in the right direction, or mention it. If you don't, then like what do you like? What do you want? I've made myself so transparent. I've been here for almost 2 hours, unnecessary. But it's like in general, I'm not someone who just sits here and says something and deletes the video. I'm here for you can hear exactly what I think 100 times. If you don't like what I'm saying, it's like that's Democrat to you, challenging the Republic. Like what do you think's happening in the Republican Party that's going to lead you anywhere good? Like where are you going with this? I don't even know. I'm gonna read this because I think it's funny. Jason said Anomaly has Botox in his top lip. We know why guys get Botox in his lips. He sucks. I appreciate the compliment, but no, I don't have Botox. I've always had big lips, and I'm sorry that you don't like them. Women do, but no, I've never gotten Botox. I swear on my life, I don't get Botox. I've always had big lips. You can find pictures of me when I'm like 7, but I appreciate the fact that they look large enough that you think they're fake. It's kind of funny. Someone said, someone said Anomaly, remember when Trump had the J&J guy on the stage? I'm going to have David Harris on here. God bless David Harris. He's a, nice guy, and I'm excited to talk to him because I feel like I have all this information that nobody wants to talk about. So I want to ask David Harris. I know David hangs out with Trump. I know he's always at Mar-a-Lago. David's a nice guy. I know he's got a good heart and a good soul. I have all this information of all this stuff Trump's doing. I'm not saying it like speculating. I'm telling people that Trump put a pharmacy lobbyist at the head of the health department. He took Bill Gates's plan and put it through executive order. He's on stage with Johnson & Johnson. He's calling himself the father of the vaccine. I'm just like wondering what the disconnect of why nobody who's around Trump calls him out on this stuff, or why I'm supposed to believe that he's some sort of outsider when he sold our entire government out to big pharma. And it's not a theory. I have 15 different proof of evidence of things that he did, and no one wants to talk about it. So we're going to talk about it with David Harris here at some point because he's nice enough to come on. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, why am I supposed to just sit and lick this guy's boots when he sold our, like, if anyone else did that in the Republican Party, they'd all be on it. But because it's Trump, everybody just plays stupid. But I'm not playing stupid. It's like, I want to know why, or at least why should I want that person back? And like the people that aren't up to date on this stuff are getting left behind and they're getting ratioed. I'm not the unpopular one anymore. The truth is the truth. The evidence is out there. People have information. Our audience, we share a lot of our audiences. People aren't dumb. A lot of people are seeking the truth. And, the influencers that are trying to like revive Trump's carcass and put him like Weekend at Bernie, like people aren't buying it anymore. And it's not everyone else's fault. And it's not because they love DeSantis too much. It's just because Trump has been a suspect leader for a long time. And there's a lot of information that people don't want to bring up. So we're going to have that little conversation and debate with David, because I know he's really great friends with Trump. And I'm just going to, these things like need to be addressed, or else we're just going to rehash what already happened. Like, I don't see the change, but it'll be good. Someone said, be the change, Anomaly, run for office. We've talked about it a lot. I don't want to repeat myself, but going for office isn't the only way to change the country. And I would say that people who made good documentaries and made an impact on social media have changed culture more than most politicians have. So I don't think that Washington is the only way to change stuff. And personally, I think it's going to take more than politics. There's got to be a mental revolution, and there's got to be a cultural revolution, and there's got to be a deprogramming that's going to wake people up. I don't think it's strictly politicians. Like, if we get our guy in, it's like, it's going to be more than that. Someone said Trump would be speaker. I mean, I'd rather him be speaker than Kevin McCarthy. At least it would be entertaining. Thank you, Carl White. I appreciate you. Someone said, hope Trump pays attention to this as well. Well, here I'm gonna take off in a little bit because I don't want to stay too long. But he's going to have to pay attention. It's actually a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful, not just for this. I'm grateful for a lot of things, but like when we were saying it in 2020, most people didn't want to talk about this. But here's the thing. It's like if you're just getting fatter and fatter and fatter and someone's like, "Hey, you're getting fatter," but you're like, "No, I'm not getting fatter." You can surround yourself by people saying, "Dude, you look like Brad Pitt. You're not." But eventually, if you're really getting fatter and fatter and fatter, like you're really getting fatter. And with Trump, that's just a metaphor, but it's like he's been god awful for years now. But all of his yes men around him and influencers who benefit from sucking his, boots, they don't want to address it. But the funny thing is, like, if Trump would have addressed what we're talking about now, there would be no rise of Ron DeSantis running for office. Like Trump, the only person, and this is why I feel good when I'm saying, you could act like I'm such a hateful or bad person, but I liked Trump more than anybody liked Trump, and I'm trying to help the guy. I'm the not yes man friend that's around him. If he would have listened to me in 2020 or 2021, he wouldn't be facing what he's doing. He's not just losing donors to DeSantis, he's losing popularity, and everybody sees it. Why? Because he surrounds himself by yes men who just tell him his shit doesn't stink, and his shit does stink. And DeSantis figured out what Trump was doing wrong, and DeSantis started doing it right. So now people like DeSantis more than Trump. Trump did this to himself. All the yes men around Trump did this to him. And there was no way that DeSantis would ever be one half as popular as Trump unless Trump screwed up. And he just keeps screwing up. And nobody wants to tell him no. So it's like, I'm not a bad person for saying this in 2020. If Trump would have gotten a hint, he didn't even have to like condemn the vaccine. It's just like he decided to make his number one priority selling the vaccine as some sort of great miracle of humanity because he did a deal with Fauci, Bill Gates, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and that's who Trump is. He's the vaccine guy. Instead of standing up for the people, he stood with all his big pharma friends and did the scammiest thing in modern history and just couldn't let it go. Even if he did it and let it go, it would have been better than him running around the country acting like he's the father. He rushed Fauci and the FDA. It's so great. He saved the world. Who cares? And DeSantis didn't do that as much. And he chose to speak to people rather than big pharma, like Trump's trying to impress a lobbyist or something. So now when you look at most pro-Trump pages, like, DC Drano or Typical Liberal, both great guys, I would consider them friends. All the comments are DeSantis, 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 DeSantis. It's not just the lobbyists. It's just Trump kind of sucks now. He's not who he was. And everybody that tried to act like he wasn't tripping when he was tripping, you're not good friends. It's like, I'm trying to help the guy. I'm not trying to ruin Trump's political career. I don't have the power to do that. And I don't want to do that because I appreciate some things that he did. But it's like, I'm the bad guy for 2 years. But here's like, I'm not going to say the Joker arc, but now the joke is on you because what we've been saying for 2 years is more popular than the lies you guys have been saying. And now everybody's like doing like PR for Trump, trying to figure out how to like resurrect what he's, and like, it's not working because it's all stupid and fake. So it's like, it's just funny that all the people that acted like what we were saying for 2 years was so bad are now tripping over their own feet, trying to figure out why DeSantis is more popular than Trump. And it's like, watch my video from 2020 or any video from 2020. I'm explaining, even unbiasedly, out of my own personal opinion, I can tell you truthfully why DeSantis went like this and why Trump kind of went on a slide. I'm not saying Trump's down here, but like DeSantis is neck and neck with him. We know why. Everyone knows why, except for people that sniff his butt. It's like they stopped wanting to earn people's votes and respect and just told people like, oh, you have to like us, even though we're not even that cool anymore. Like, no, we don't. People are not going to like that. So it's just funny to see that all of these things that were once considered fringe are now the mainstream opinion in the Republican world, and people just can't figure it out. This is my last thing I'm going to say on it. When Trump gained so much respect and so much popularity, there was no one forcing people to feel that way about Trump. It was organic, and Trump just earned people's respect. He torched the Republican primary. He called out Hillary Clinton. Trump had this massive movement because Trump really was that guy. He embarrassed Jeb Bush. He embarrassed Ted Cruz. He embarrassed Hillary Clinton. He called out the media. Trump gained a massive movement, not because Jack Posobiec told me I had to like Trump or because people said I had to vote for Trump. And I'm not knocking Jack. I'm just saying, like, the reason everybody liked Trump was Trump really was that dude. He was that dude. No one can tell you otherwise. You saw it with your own eyes. I like him better than these other people because he's cooler than these other people. Trump used to be the number one guy. In 2018, you asked me, who's the number one most influential Republican? Donald Trump. Who's the coolest Republican? Donald Trump. He was head above everybody else, and I didn't have to fake it for Donald Trump. He really was that dude. He was cooler than me. He was more on it. Like, he was that dude. Now, Trump's not even like a top 50, like thought leader anymore. He's a vaccine salesman. He's not on the precipice of any angle. He's lost his edge. He's not doing any sort of interesting speeches anymore. He's not on the precipice of society on Twitter calling out everything. And he's just not a cool, so he was the big guy because he really was that guy and nobody had to force it. Now it's like Weekend at Bernie's. All the Trump influencers are trying to act like Trump's still that guy, and he's not that guy. And DeSantis has been more of that guy, so people like DeSantis. Not because someone told them to, they just see it with their own eyes, and DeSantis is speaking to them, and Trump is just speaking in circles about himself, and he's not that guy anymore. I would say he's the number one guy, and the number two wasn't even close in 2018. Now I can name 50 people that I find more honest than Donald Trump, more worth listening to Donald Trump. In 2018, Donald Trump's my number one, and number two is not even close. Now I don't even want to listen to him because he's not saying anything interesting or honest. He's just like a clown. But if people don't want to think that you don't have to. But a lot of people do think that because his power didn't come from people forcing him on you. His power came from being that guy. He had a power that no one can take because he was that guy. He's not that guy anymore. If he wants the power that he once had, he's got to be that guy again. If he doesn't want to be that guy, I don't need a bunch of Weekend at Bernie yes men telling me he's still that guy. He's not that guy. Everybody knows he's not that guy. He's lost a lot of support. He unified everybody when he was that guy. Now it's falling apart because he's not that guy. And you're not going to convince me he is that guy. So stop trying to play these games of I have to like him a lot or I don't have to. No one does anymore. Like a very small percentage of people do. And what once was considered a fringe don't say that in 2020 is now the top comment on every Republican page. So, the joke's on other people who told me to shut up years ago and the reason what I aged well, it's not because I convinced everybody with my platform. It's just what I said was true when a lot of people didn't want to look at it. And it's still true today. And what, the fake excuses and stuff, like eventually enough topics come out and conversations come out and you realize that was never true. And people are like, oh, I get it now. Like that is, so it is what it is. So let me see. Someone said Biden shut down the countries and school and mandated vaccines. Stay thirsty. I agree. I think Biden's horrible. I voted for Trump in 2020 and I still stand by my vote just off the mandates alone. With that being, I'm not disagreeing that Biden sucks. I'll still vote Republican. I'm just saying I'm with the Gateses and Boberts of like I'm trying to switch it up a little bit in here. I'm not saying Biden's a good president. It's just like that's like this binary thinking. If somebody says your side's not doing enough, you're like, well, they're better than Biden. It's like, yeah, for sure. But like that's how they get people in this like little world of like, well, I'll vote for Biden because he's not Trump. Well, if you say that truth about Trump, you must be a Democrat. I'll take a further right-wing stance than Trump, and someone will call me a Democrat. They'll be like, are you a Democrat because you're further right than Trump on this topic? It's like, how does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense. It's just some people are trained to think if you're not this, you're this. But what if there's certain lobbyists that are buying both parties out? Spoiler alert, they are. Someone said I like Chip Roy. He seems like one of the good ones. And I think that we can provide value to if someone does something courageous and epic, like it's good to reward them for it because then they can beat certain lobbyists and be like, yeah, I don't care if you guys don't like this. The base likes it. Like Thomas Massey's got way more popular because he's been honest. Like he's more popular than he's ever been. I like to compliment DeSantis when he does stuff with Big Pharma. I'm not saying to not criticize him for other stuff, but I like positive reinforcement. Like when DeSantis does a grand jury investigation, I like to give a thumbs up. And when he hired Joseph Ladapo, his Surgeon General is a real one, and Donald Trump hires a bunch of swampers, I'm trying to do positive reinforcement. DeSantis did the right thing with his Surgeon General. Donald Trump did the wrong thing with the Surgeon General. I'm not saying I hate Trump, but that's like positive reinforcement. Do what DeSantis did. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to hire a bunch of swampers and pharmacy lobbyists and yell at everybody who's not loyal to him. It's like, why would I be loyal to a swamp rat? That hires a bunch of phonies. Like, I'm not saying everything DeSantis did was good, but this is a tangible thing that DeSantis is running laps around. DeSantis is doing a grand jury investigation. DeSantis is hiring a good surgeon general, an outsider. He hired a real outsider. Donald Trump didn't hire any outsiders when it comes to big pharma. I mean, Scott Atlas was the only good guy in his camp. But besides him, it's like none of the people he hired for legitimate positions were good people. Why should I not say that? I don't understand the logic of like, why can't I point that out, hoping Trump does the right thing? And the reason he won't do the right thing is because he's got a bunch of influencers who don't even want to challenge him to do the right thing. We're starting to challenge our politicians. It's a beautiful thing. Get on board with us. We're not saying, Trump, your political career's dead, go away forever. You can run if you want, but I get to challenge you. And if enough people challenge Trump as much as I did, he'd be more popular than DeSantis. This is the funniest thing about what I'm doing. People act like I'm such a bad guy. If Trump would have gotten the hint 2 years ago on his crappy agenda, he'd be more popular than DeSantis. The only reason DeSantis is now I mean, if Trump doesn't become who he was in 2018 and DeSantis runs against Trump right now, dude, DeSantis is going to make him look like an idiot because Trump is just so in this zone of like, you need to be loyal to me. How dare you? But like he's not the same guy. So I don't understand why people want to let him fall on his face. I'm like, he could beat DeSantis, but he's got to return to who he used to be. Like he used to be cooler than DeSantis by far. Now he's not. But in his mind and in all his loyalist mind, it's like, it's not his fault. Everyone else has to just bow down for him. It's like, why not tell the guy to return to full form? You know, like return to who he once was, and he can, you know, gain our hearts and respect again. But like, you can't just like bully people into like liking someone that's on his way down. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Someone said, are we going to put technology computer chips in our body? I hope not, but I was at the airport today and it was some sort of weird like Amazon like store, and they're like, you know, scan your hand or enter your credit card. So I'm like, I'm not scanning my hand, I'll enter my card. But I went in like the little Amazon freaking like airport store, and it was so weird. And it was like I had the stuff in my hand and there's some guy there. I'm like, where do I pay for this? And he's like, just walk out. I'm like, you sure? So I guess I just like walked out. But apparently you could scan with your hand if you had like maybe your thumb or something. I don't know. Who has your thumb? Apple or something? I was like, what the hell? Like I didn't like it. I'm like, just hand me this stuff, dude. I don't want to play this little like futuristic robot game, but whatever. Someone said Trump comes with the insults and DeSantis comes with the hard facts and some edge. Yeah, I mean, I think that DeSantis has a good system, at least of like how to handle the press and how to get stuff done. I'm not gonna lie, I like Trump's insults. I thought they were funny for a long time, but at a certain point, it becomes more of a clown show than like an impressive thing where it's like, who are you making fun of, and then what are you gonna do after it? But for a while, I mean, I liked like, you know, Trump would be like, your wife looks gross. She got plastic surgery. Joe Scarborough, your gross wife was bleeding with her nose job and blood everywhere. And then like everyone was like, why is Trump talking about? And I'm like, I love this. This is hilarious. Like I never had a problem with his name calling. He's like, your wife is gross, Joe Scarborough. She's bleeding after a nose job. And everyone's like, why is he doing this? I'm like, you know, I'm like, ha 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 ha. I'm like, who cares about Joe and Mika? Like, that's definitely an odd thing to say, but like, you know, I'm a fan of comedy, and you know, it's not my fault that the president's also a comedian. I never got mad at that, but it was also because if you're also calling people ugly, but then you're executing, who am I to judge? It's like, whatever, bro. If that's what turns Trump, you know, his batteries on in the morning, then let him go. So as long as he's also doing the right thing and calling people ugly, I'm for it. But when you stop being cool, when you start running around the country selling big pharma shots and working for Bill Gates and just telling me that I need to like that or something, that's when he loses me. What if Trump sees my videos? He's like, anomaly. He's disgusting. Look at his long hair, looking like a girl. Looking like he got Botox. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. He said he didn't, but it could be fake news. Anomaly, what wearing a beanie all the time like Tim Pool, huh? Because you don't have cool hair like me. I'm like, oh, damn it. Trump found my videos. Now he's talking trash about me. Then every like MAGA mom would be like, you suck, freaking. I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, why is everyone mad at me today? What happened? Like, you didn't see, dude? Trump tweeted at you and said you look ugly with your long hair. I was like, damn it. I knew I shouldn't have got Trump like that. He's like, just get the vaccine, Anomaly. Oh, Anomaly, why don't you get a vaccine? Oh, maybe you lose all your hair with the vaccine side effect. Oh, you don't want it, but Moderna's so good, Anomaly. Just get Daddy Trump's Johnson & Johnson double pump, huh? I'm like, I don't want it, Trump. He's like, oh, of course you don't want it. Oh, you don't want it with your long hair, huh? I'm like, Trump, come on, dude. I'm not Mika Brzezinski. I'm not Morning Joe. There's no reason for this, dude. I just didn't think you should hire a pharmacy lobbyist. Listen, Anomaly, Alex Azar is a loyal guy. Yes, he did a bunch of vaccine big pharma fat sellouts, but he's loyal to Daddy Trump, and he tells me yes. I say, do I look good? And Alex Azar says yes. Now give me the big pharma money, and I give him the pharma money. It's that simple. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm not built out. I'm just a Facebook YouTuber. I didn't want the smoke. I'm sorry. I apologize. You're right. I'll think twice before I say anything anymore. Gail Peters said you're not funny. It's debatable. It's some would say yes, some would say no. All right, well, I'm gonna leave because Gail said I'm not funny, and I feel bad now. I want to go cry. No, that's not why. I just want to make you feel bad, Gail, because then I turn it off, and you're like, oh man, I didn't mean to make Anomaly feel bad. It's like, nah, that's not really the reason. I've been here for 2 hours. I'm gonna try to. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna try to do, but I am gonna get a new microphone. I want to up my quality, and we'll see. I don't know. I mean, the long videos are fun because it's just like free flow. You pop in, you pop out. You don't have to watch the whole thing. But I think, I did like doing my shorter videos too, but now I do the podcast. We'll see. I'll ask what people like later. And, I'm always trying to improve the show. So I'm trying to get funnier. I'll bash my head against the wall all night thinking a joke so Gail won't call me not funny. So I'm always trying to please the people, even Gail. I'm just kidding, Gail. I don't care that you think I'm not funny. Appreciate you guys. Now be nice to Gail. It's fine. I was doing my Trump impression. Some say it's funny, some say it's not. It's okay. God bless you guys. God bless your family. I'll be back soon, and